Hi, this is Christian with Keith McMillen Instruments, and this is my second video on using the SoftStep with Presonus Studio One. And I'm going to talk a little bit about preset management. When you want to make a preset or a SoftStep scene that does what you want it to do, you're probably going to take one of our existing presets, maybe toggles or notes or pressure, and customize it. So basically you can take an existing preset, a scene that we already have, and just do a save as and give it a new name. It's pressure CH. That way you don't write over any of the old presets. And then you can customize it to however you want it to be. There's a lot of presets. This is sort of the master list of all the scenes that the SoftStep has. There's some that come with the SoftStep, and there's some that I've made myself. But ultimately, you're probably only going to want to use a scene or maybe just a few scenes. And so we've got the set list, which is basically a subset of all the scenes in the SoftStep, and just the ones you want to use. And in this case, I've got Studio 1A, and this notes are our lights. And when I press the nav pad of the SoftStep, that's the blue kind of arrow thing to the right on the controller, it's just going to cycle through just the items in the set list. If I add a third one, let's say I add notes, and I have a third one, now it will cycle through just those scenes. So that's how to make a useful subset of SoftStep scenes and to advance them in the order that you want. Also, inside of our settings area are a few things you might want to be aware of. In the global section, you do have a sensitivity, but I prefer to make the SoftStep more or less sensitive by going into keys and then setting an on and off threshold. And I keep these pretty low. I have the on threshold at 6 and the off threshold at 5 because I actually like to work in socks. You may want to actually raise the on and the off if you use shoes or boots or whatever. The other thing that's cool is you have control over X increment and Y increment speed. And so if you're using either of those axes, this is how to make it go faster or slower. And same thing down here with the nav pad. We have sort of sensitivities and then increment speed. And that's all cool stuff. And then this is where you would configure an expression pedal if you have one of those as well. The last thing I'm going to show you is how to take an existing scene and turn it from a hosted mode scene into a standalone mode scene. And the reason you might want to do that is so that you don't have to run the SoftStep editor at the same time. It would free up some RAM, maybe make your setup slightly less susceptible to having the editor crash, or you can simplify things. The disadvantage of being in standalone is you don't get to see the data types. Like if I'm in hosted mode and I open up a mod line and step on a pad, I can literally see what's going on. That's why I recommend people make their scenes in hosted mode first. If you're going to make a custom scene, you got to make it in hosted mode first, get it perfect, and then you can convert it to standalone. So let me show you how to do that. I've got this Studio 1A scene now, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go File, Export Preset, and I'm going to save it to, let's say, my desktop. Doesn't really matter, just somewhere on my computer that I can remember. Studio 1A. Give it a name. And that's also cool because that makes a backup of the preset if I ever need to send it to somebody or revert it for myself or whatever. And now I'm going to switch the SoftStep into standalone mode by clicking right here. And now it says standalone. And now I'm going to import the preset that I had exported earlier, the Studio 1A, and I'm going to go open. And so now that exists in the standalone version of this editor, but now what we want to do is we want to send it to the SoftStep. And again, the set list comes into play. The set list ends up being the items that will live on the SoftStep. So if I pare it down to, let's say I only put that Studio 1A scene in my set list and I click on Send to SoftStep, now that scene is physically being sent and will live on the SoftStep. And so now what I can do is I can unplug the editor or quit the editor. And now I can configure that device earlier that I had, external devices, that Studio One. But this time, the receive from port will be SSCOM port 1, not SoftStep Share, because that doesn't even exist. This is now the port that the SoftStep will communicate to Studio One with. So now we go OK. And there we go. We're back making tracks. But this time we don't have the editor running. So there you go. That's how to turn a scene from a hosted scene into a standalone scene, and then how to change the MIDI port in Studio One so that they communicate. So hope that's helpful. This is Christian with KMI saying enjoy.